Just remember that Pop Culture Minefield, when it's discussing rumors, are just rumors. You have to take them with a grain of salt.
From the deepest, darkest recesses of Dangerous Nerds headquarters, Keith Moncrief and Gary Kissel.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Pop Culture Minefield. That's Keith over here, or over there.
Yeah, and that's Gary.
And we've got a huge transitional change that is going to shake the very foundation of how we do this show. And we'd like to introduce our third co-host for the show is Miss Brittney Greer. And there she is.
What's up?
Brittney!
And Brittney is our new co-host on the show. And I felt that as a flaming liberal that I should make the show more diverse. And so, because, it wasn't enough that there was a white guy and a black guy. We lacked that, the female hormone of, estrogen. You and your estrogenical ways.
We needed her female creativity.
And of course, I'm not a liberal. That's Keith's job. Keith's the liberal in the group. I'm the moderate conservative, and Brittney apparently is a callous bitch, from what I've heard. But
that's what people say. That's what I've
but
heard.
I'm glad to. I met Courtney. It was 2 years ago at a Missouri Film Alliance meeting, which I was not pleased with. I thought it was stupid. And I'm so annoyed with so many of those people that are in charge. And but a lot of us just sort of walked away. I was a founding member, and I'm like, you guys are idiots. And but some of you guys really stuck it through. And I'm not sure where you are with them.
Yeah, I'm not.
But I met you there.
Yeah,
along with our friend Jason Brazier.
Yep,
and,
Jason, Shelley, and Keith, and you were there.
Yep, and of course Gary.
Yes.
Gary McClurg, Hollywood movie producer, who's a good friend of mine.
Guy. He's really nice.
He gets on my page and just is always trying to crack jokes, and sometimes I emphasize the word trying. I hope he watches this. He'll go, hey. I love Gary. I've known him for a long time. But basically, Brittney came on because Keith had recommended her, and I'm like, yeah, let's do we did a little meeting because we're going to be once a month hosting a group live chat with all of the other regional podcasters or vloggers. And I think it's going to be really nice, because I like we're friends with everybody.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, I think so too.
It'll be like a party.
And in the middle of this meeting, I'm like, after so much of what Keith had said, because I knew he wanted me to invite you, whether he said it or not. I knew he wanted me to invite you to be part of our team. I'm like, yeah, I like the way you talk. Oh, what's that movie? I like the way you talk.
Right?
You got the canned meat. I like some biscuits and mustard.
I'm just like, okay.
I don't know if anybody even knows what movie I'm doing there. It's like Sling Blade.
Yeah.
I love it. Sling Blade is great.
That guy would grunt. Just crack me up. But anyway, so she is here to talk some nerd stuff. And I had to correct somebody on Twitter today, a friend of mine. I think it's Big John. And he quoted us talking nerdy nerd stuff. And I went, no, it's talking nerdy nerd stuff. Extra nerd is important.
Get it right.
Because it's nerdy nerd stuff.
That's right.
And that's how I said it the first time. It's how we're sticking with it. No matter what anybody says grammatically, I don't give a shit. I think it's
Quote
funny.
it right.
That's right. So we're going to start our day off with some interesting. Let's first let's go check out what's going on with Mikey Sutton news.
Right.
So I'm going to head over there real quick and add to the stream. And of course, he posted just an hour ago that it's official. Wonder Woman 1984 has been rescheduled for August 14th in theaters due to the C virus concerns. It will be simultaneously on digital. And then he, of course, adds the word patience because he's a nice, thoughtful guy. And that's really it for the news today. And of course, great picture of Gal Gadot.
Yeah.
So she rocks.
I'm excited and bummed. Like, I'm excited that I'm going to be able to see it in the movie theater. But then I'm like bummed because August is a long time away.
It's better than not getting it.
That's true.
Yeah.
But do you think they would do that though? Like at all?
What do you mean, completely just yank the film?
Yeah, they wouldn't do that.
Not after all the money they spent on it. This is
Also,
one of those movies.
The rule is you can't put a film up or anything within the film for an Oscar unless it's been released theatrically.
Oh.
So you'll never see that happen with a major contender like this. I mean, just even if it's just for costumes or visual effects, they can't be nominated if the film wasn't released theatrically.
I wasn't even thinking about that.
And that's why I'm here, because I'm always thinking about that stupid shit.
You're thinking about see, it's not stupid. You're thinking about the smart stuff.
And but really, the factotum of the show is Keith. Keith is the guy who lays down the knowledge.
Your knowledge is impressive.
And so we're going to move from Mikey Sutton News. Thanks again, Mikey. We love you. And we're going to go to, what should we do first? Oh, let's do this one. Yes, I like this one. I like this one very much. Yeah, mate, I totally do.
I know, right?
Hollywood Reporter announced that, let's go there. Let's check this shit out. That Michael Biehn has joined the cast of The Mandalorian, which is awesome sauce.
He's so good. He's so good.
And if you didn't have a reason to watch season 2 already, you now do. I mean,
I think he's one of those underrated actors too. You know what I mean?
He's been around since like the first thing I ever saw him in was a Lauren Bacall film from I think it was the late 70s, early 80s, called The Fan. And he played the obsessed fan that wanted to kill her. And I actually liked him then. And then he's in Terminator, and then immediately after Aliens, and then he was in the Abyss as a good guy who becomes the villain. And God, the range on this guy.
Yeah.
You know,
and people, like, when you say his name, he's one of those actors like that people are like, I don't know who that is, and you show them a picture or say, have you seen Terminator? And they're like, oh yeah, like I love that guy, like he's great.
Exactly. And of course they mentioned here is that it's been a decade really since he's done anything high profile. He's got his own production company. He makes low budget indie horror films, really is what he makes. There was this Cabin in the Woods one where he's kind of a psycho, and I caught a little bit of that one, but I love him as an actor, and I'm glad to see this. I mean, it's like the last thing I really remember him in that was really good was Tombstone.
Yeah, that's a really good movie. Well, maybe he'll knock it out of the park. Well, I say maybe he will knock it out of the park.
Yeah, that guy's. Yeah, I cannot believe he'll turn in a bad performance. Although I was really surprised by the young English girl that was in The Mandalorian. She played the sister of that one character that they're going to rescue him from a prison. And she was in the Harry Potter film. She was in Game of Thrones. I mean, she's an outstanding actress. And her performance in that episode is just abysmal. Yeah. It was like some really bad 60s vampirist character. Like, and even my girlfriend, Deanna, was like, that's not good. She's terrible.
Had an off day.
And she was shocked. I told her who it was, and she's like, what? But going back to this, I think this is great news with Michael Biehn. I say Biehn. I've said it for years. I hear other people call him Biehn. I have no idea. Don't care.
Regardless, he's awesome.
He is awesome, no matter how you pronounce it.
This is the second piece of breaking news they've had about this over the last 2 days, because yesterday was Rosario Dawson joining the cast.
Yeah, I'm stoked about that. I think she's
Me
great.
too.
I still wish she would be Catwoman. I know they casted Zoe or whatever, but like, I still think Rosario Dawson should be Catwoman.
Mm-hmm.
That other show she did was just awful for TV. Zoe's new show for one of the
High Fidelity. It's like, we've seen this. Well,
it's not even the best parts. It was just terrible. I was just I went in kind of hoping, and then I walked away from it going, that was just awful. And I felt bad for her because she should be in better stuff than that.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think she'll, I mean, I'm nothing against her. I think she will make a great Catwoman with what they're putting out and the images. Like, I think she'll be fine. But it's just, I've always, like, I think Rosario would be like a perfect Catwoman for like a Gotham City Sirens. I'm just throwing
we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens, because that's really, because we talked about that the other day, because you are unabashedly a huge fan of the new Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey movie. And whereas, though cool shirt. Fuck you. I got food on mine. And so, making Keith laugh. So basically, and I told you what my problem was, is that structurally it had issues. Logically, it had huge logic issues. Like going into the third act was like, just, you had to take your brain out and set it aside. I enjoyed the film. I really did. It was fun, but it was popcorn, mindless fun, because the minute you try to think watching the film, you're like, what?
Oh, I loved it.
And I hated that what's her name didn't get her power or show her powers until really the end. I'm like, we should have gotten a taste of that early on, not just breaking a glass. Come on, that was ridiculous.
And I think in which, we, like you said, we talked about it the other day, but so sorry, you'll hear me say it again, but like, and I think like a lot of the issues that people see with it, like, don't feel like issues to me because it's told from Harley's perspective. So to me,
see, when you say that, I thought about that, and I thought they really should have made that clear. And I agree that this should have been like the Wizard of Oz for Harley.
Yeah, and to me, like, and I think, and that's, it's like I related to her. I didn't think I would ever say that I related to Harley Quinn. You probably shouldn't ever say that, given her past. But, like, hard breakup, moved into an apartment, got a dog / hyena. So it's like, when I was watching it, I was like, I needed this movie and didn't even realize I needed it. You know what I mean? I was like, I love everything about this. And the fact that she tells stories how I tell stories, where she jumps around and it's like, oh yeah, I should have told you about
forgot that one part.
Time out. Yeah, it's like, time out. Let's go back. But that's the reason why I think I liked it so much, because they've set themselves up to be able to have other films and talk about this, and people come in and be like, that's not what happened. And she's like, well, that's how I remember it. Because that's how Harley is. She's crazy.
Yeah, and that will allow JJ to be able to make his own versions of some of these characters, recast parts. If they come in and they're played by different actresses, then you could really play that off as Harley had been being lost in her own thoughts so much that she even got the physical makeup of some of these characters completely different.
Yeah, the description's essentially wrong. Because it's like, even when she gets punched in the face, and like she goes into this weird like daydream Marilyn Monroe thing, and then like she comes out of it and she's like laughing.
Which was actually really funny to me, because that was the first test footage they did.
Yeah.
Was that dream sequence. So I thought that was cool. They found a way to integrate it in.
And like, just to see the huge grin on her face, and then like the grin goes away, like when she gets hit again, and you see this darkness like in her eyes, and you're just like, oh yeah, I forgot. She's a very bad person. And I love that they do that because they make you feel for her kind of throughout the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's parts like she even tells, Cass, which I know they'll end up changing Cass, but like I love it that she tells Cass, she's like, I'm sorry, like I'm kind of a terrible person. And I loved it because she's like trying to remind the audience, like,
I'm not nice. I'm not a
guy.
good guy.
Yeah, I'm a bad guy. And if you read Gotham City Sirens, like which I personally loved, if you read it, she's spot on. Like to me, they did Harley spot on to how she is, not just in Gotham City Sirens, but like in the comics. Like when she's away from the Joker, she's not. I don't want to say she's not as violent because she is very violent, but I mean she's not as horrible in the psychotic sense.
Mm-hmm.
That like when she's with Joker, it seems like she's always trying to up her game to like be right alongside him. But like when she's by herself or when she's with the Sirens, it's kind of like you see that kid like emotionally stunted side of her where she has a hyena, and it makes sense that the hyena like loves her, like loves the crazy in her. But yeah, so
and I like that they used a real dog in the movie.
Oh yeah.
And then CG'd the hyena over it, so she was actually interacting with something.
Yeah, and that's what
I learned that because of you. I wasn't aware of that. And
yeah, we were talking because she didn't want to deal with that because of Tarzan. We were talking the other day about how great she is in that Tarzan movie.
As Jane, yeah, she was great.
Yeah.
I loved her in that movie.
And she didn't.
You learned so much from Brittney. Brittney knows a lot.
Only Birds of Prey knowledge. People have probably tuned out. Sorry.
We're going to talk about Birds of Prey. That's when we'll pull her out. She's our secret weapon.
Birds of Prey or Buffy. Like I gotcha.
So
I got you on that front.
Well, I guess we'll move on to the next subject because we ADD'd away from Michael Biehn and started talking about Harley Quinn. But Harley Quinn is a great segue because we're going to talk about Batman.
Yes.
Batman. Because
DC Comics is basically got hip and understood that there's still a lot of people out there that are fans of Batman the animated series and the sequel series, the new Batman Adventures. I gotta say, having the original core creative team back to make a comic book that continues all of that stuff is just some of the best news ever. And DC is on the right track with doing it now. Will it be something that will be consistently overseen by all those guys? I have no idea. I just like the fact that we're back in that universe.
Look how gorgeous that picture is.
Right?
It's so pretty.
Oh.
I love all of the bad guys in the building. Like, top notch. And I mean, that's like hands down, like probably one of the best, to me, that and the 90s X-Men cartoon are like two of the best cartoons like ever.
Yes.
At least the best theme song.
Oh.
I remember when I was a paramedic up in Washington, and we'd be in the station house and just watching that and hoping that we'd get no calls, that alarm going off.
You're like, guys, stop doing stuff. We're watching something here.
Because we didn't have digital back then. If you walked away, unless you had a VCR, we didn't have a VCR in the station house. It was just a TV supplied by our commander. It's like, oh, I gotta walk away. Same thing with Ren and Stimpy. I'd get upset if we had to miss a Ren and Stimpy.
I used to love that show. If you watch some of that stuff now, though, you're like, what was I watching as a child?
Oh, it was messed up even then. I was watching it going, I will not let my child watch this.
Yeah, and I'm sitting there going, I don't understand it.
Guess who raised their kids at Animaniacs?
You.
That's a great show.
Actually, my kid watched Animaniacs too.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Two of my kids did. And growing up later, my daughter watched reruns of it.
Mm-hmm.
She mostly watched other stuff with me. We watched SpongeBob together. Oh, Daddy says.
SpongeBob,
Oh, Patrick.
Some of the cartoons do have some, like, I don't want to say
there's adult themed stuff. Yeah, there's inappropriate humor even in SpongeBob. But it's
I have
goes
to
by
really think.
so fast, and it's said in such a way that kids don't understand it. But a grown up will go.
Yeah.
Well, it's a tradition carried on from the Warner Brothers stuff. You know, the original Warner Brothers cartoons had a lot of adult humor in there. So, you know, I mean, keeping the legacy alive.
This says it's April 1st. You don't think it's going to be an April Fool's joke? Could you imagine?
No, if the announcement came out on April 1st, yeah, it would be a joke.
I'm throwing it out right now. If DC's like pulling a prank, I might riot.
Yeah, there will be a riot.
I might riot.
Yeah, big time. Because I will say this is a good year to restart that book and that universe with everything else that they have coming out. Because this is also the 80th anniversary year of Robin the Boy Wonder. And is also the 80th anniversary year for Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman. I'm sorry.
Isn't it Catwoman and Joker too?
Catwoman, Joker, and the Flash. So these are the 80th anniversary celebrations for that. And the one for Robin has multiple covers. Now, these also have multiple covers. Okay? There are multiple covers, different covers for all of these. I just chose these two because this is how I see Wonder Woman. This is, to me, a really great representation of the character. And this is how I see the Flash. This is how a lot of the Flash comics in the 1960s looked.
Which one's your favorite Flash?
Which one's my favorite? Oh, wow, it's a difficult question. But let me just say, I like the original version of Barry Allen because I like him. I like the fact that he is the only member of the Justice League that actually was a cop, and that he figured things out without having people in a lab figure stuff. Look, nothing against the television series, but Barry isn't allowed to be as smart on the series as he is in the comics.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that he was also the fun-loving one. I'm sad that we never got a chance to see Barry Allen and Hal Jordan together because that was the original team-up. And then it moved over from the Flash and Green Lantern to Green Lantern and Green Arrow. And the three of them together formed this trifecta that was just amazing with all three of those characters. Because when you finally understood years later that both Hal and Ollie were complete opposites politically, and that Barry was somewhere in the middle. You know, he was a guy that basically, he was a cop that did his job. And a lot of the other stuff didn't matter to him, you know, and plus he enjoyed being the Flash. So
maybe we'll get it in Flashpoint.
I don't know. I don't. I wish Hollywood would adapt these better because you don't have to make too many changes to the characters. You know, there's a reason why Stephen Amell doesn't want to come back to do any more Green Arrow. I think if you were to adapt the comics the way that they actually are, you wouldn't run into so many issues with having to fix things and go back and undo things and do this and do that. And the television shows, while it does pull a lot of stuff from the comics, doesn't do it justice when they go so far away from what the comics actually were. And again, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's easier to keep track of things if you try to keep it within the ballpark of where these characters are. That's the great thing about the MCU under Kevin Feige. He at least tries to keep the characters within the ballpark of where they are in the comics. Whereas Warner Brothers, and especially a lot of the Berlanti shows, they wander off into the wilderness and they get lost because they like creating their own mythology so much that they get lost in all of that, and it's hard for them to come back around and to keep the characters, kind of close to what they are. You create issues and problems. And the Barry Allen for the television series is so different than the one in the comics. I mean, the way that they
just leave it. It's like if you want to create your own backstories, create your own characters.
Yes, that's been my thing. You didn't need to create this whole Team Flash thing because if you really think about it, that really was Barry's job. He's a forensic scientist. He doesn't need all these other people to do all his thinking for him. And by doing that, you relegate the character into a really small box, a narrow box for him to operate out of. Whereas you've taken up all of this other stuff that you needed to understand about Barry and his life and how he sees things, which is greater and bigger. And again, I can't forgive Berlanti because they did put lots of clues for Green Lantern initially in the first 3 seasons of the show and never delivered. They still have yet to deliver. They've never delivered on any of that. And Green Lantern was really the Flash's first big team up. Those two worked so well together, and they ended up taking the Oliver Queen character that they had on the Berlanti shows, and basically he was Hal Jordan.
Well, he's green.
Yeah, pretty much. That's exactly what. I bet that's what happened in a meeting. Is I guaranteed somebody was like, Green Arrow. Isn't
Green
that
Lantern.
kind of the same thing?
Yeah.
It's got green in the title, and his outfit's green.
Yeah.
I think we can get away with it.
That's how Hollywood executives think. Moving on to more comic book news, we have this going on, and I'll go ahead and throw it up on screen. We, of course, I don't read Bleeding Cool. I used to, and they just irritated me and rubbed me the wrong way one too many times by taking the industry side over fans. And it's like, So I now read Bleeding Fool. And as far as I'm concerned, they're just as good in their coverage. And we've got Dark Days, they report. Diamond CEO makes official shutdown announcement. Now, this is amidst what we were talking about already, because I've got a problem with Diamond Comics because I believe they use strong-arm tactics with resellers. And they do things for their own benefit, and second, to benefit the industry. And then last thing that they even consider are the resellers.
Yeah.
And they're the only end of publishing that does not credit or take returns. And that's shameful. These comic, stores they're not like the big name book stores like Barnes and Noble or Amazon. Once they have to pay for some of these titles, they're stuck with them. Yeah.
Yep.
They are stuck with it until it's gone. And they often lose money with this. And worse, the strong arm tactic that I'm talking about is where they earmark a specific title with other stuff attached to it. So you can't touch that title unless you buy these other ones that we want you to buy that we know won't sell. Because we know they won't sell for you, but we're going to make you pay for it. Capiche? I mean, you want to talk about a mafia type mindset. This guy right here fucking gets it.
He looks like
he looks like a Godfather mafioso type, I'm sorry, I'm going to insult every Italian friend of mine by saying that. And I have a lot of Italian friends.
The thing about Diamond is that, as I've said before, I think Diamond is 50% of the problem that the comic book industry has.
I gauge it higher because I believe that the industry follows what Diamond says because they're the preeminent distributor. They have put themselves in a position of being the only distributor. And there are others, but they're smaller and they don't have access to all the things that Diamond says they have. But the strong arm tactics of Diamond, in my opinion, puts them closer to 70% of the blame. But the comic industry itself, the publishers, are also to blame. And I think they deserve at least 20 to 30% of that blame because they allow this shit to keep going. They put on their blinders and they just go on about business like it doesn't matter. And that's why I was so impressed when Image Comics is the only one that stepped up and said, hey, we need to do something. Because when these comic book shops close over this virus, a lot of them, if not all of them, might not be opening.
Just so sad.
Yeah, and it's all because of this company's practices.
Well, and again, you know what Gary Beekler says, people don't open comic book shops to actually make money. You have to love it.
They do it because they love it. Exactly.
Yeah.
But they need to at least pay the damn bills.
Yes.
They don't have to become rich off of it, but they need to be able to make enough to at least pay for its existence.
To keep the lights on.
Yeah, and it's like these people, Diamond Comics right up front. In my opinion, if there was if this was a culture that believed in stoning over bad business behavior, they'd be top of the list for me. Taking them out and letting them have it.
Yeah.
We should bring back public caning.
I think within the comic book industry, those particular comic book publishers, smaller, independent, should just start making deals. Look, there are so few compared to a year ago, 5 years ago, there are so few comic book shops. You could probably get away with some of these smaller publishers making individual deals with some of the stores, which would really help. I think Marvel and DC could really help themselves if they just start talking directly to the comic book store owners rather than going through Diamond. Diamond is almost like the proverbial middleman that takes his cut going both ways. They're getting rich right in the middle there. And if there's a way that they could cut around or go around Diamond, I would strongly suggest them to do that. I think Image could easily do it. They're big enough to make that. Dark Horse 2, IDW, a lot of these smaller services compared to DC and Marvel should think about doing that because there's no reason not to. And this is about the health of the industry and protecting an incredible legacy, because once these stores go, the only way you're going to be able to find comic books is in a lot of these big chain stores.
Yep.
And that's going to be unfortunate. Yeah.
So that's why I love the Comic Cave so much. It wasn't just about going in and buying comics, but you and I have done this many of time, just sitting and talking for like an hour and a half of just about kind of everything. You know what I mean? So
there's no such thing as a 5-minute conversation with Keith.
Well, me neither. when we're both talking, it's a huge problem because it would go like an hour and a half. But that was fun though. It was a nice, it was fun to go in and talk, and it was nice to have someone like.
Well, that's what you do with Keith when you have a conversation. I nerd out with him all the time. We'll sit and talk for hours. I do the same thing with my buddy Josh Becker, the film TV director. We'll talk for hours about old movies and shit. But you were going to make a point. Make your point. God damn it, move! I'm tired of this.
I was just going to say that, like Josh, like going into a comic book store, like a smaller comic book store instead of like a Barnes and Noble or like ordering comics off Amazon. I could go in and be like, I love Harley Quinn. I love the Joker. I love like old Batgirl. I don't like the young purple and gold selfie taking Batgirl. You know what I mean? So it's like, what would you recommend? You know what I mean? And so it's like you can go in and you could have them recommend stuff to you to where it's like, I think you would dig this. Like, try this one. Because I didn't know about Gotham City Sirens until I talked to Josh. And then it's like, and I love it. Like, I have them all. You know what I mean? I've got one framed on my wall in my art room. Because it's, you know, so it's like, and it's so sad to think that there's a chance that that could go away too. Not just like being able to talk to people of like minds.
Well, with Diamond doing this, that's the big risk. Because they've turned a deaf ear to the resellers and they've closed the door on the publishers. So now digital sales is really the only way they're going to be able to do anything until, you know, they open back up. But the resellers, we don't know when they're going to get to open up, if at all. You know, because where's the end of the tunnel on this situation with the C virus, as Mikey Sutton says?
Well, some of these stores have started, you know, reacting by no longer dealing in new comics.
Don't mind her back there.
I'm watching her behind you right now. It's
Sorry.
like sometimes Keith has this white ghost in his house that climbs up behind him, and you've got this like skulking dog in the background. Like,
well, and I'm talking about Harley
sniff
Quinn.
out shit. Stuff's going on. Don't care.
Her name's Harley Quinn, so I keep saying Harley Quinn, and she's
what
like,
are the odds of that?
yeah, she's like, what did you say? Did you say I should come over here?
So,
sorry, Keith.
But going back to it, Keith, what do you see as the outcome of this with Diamond doing what they just did?
The outcome will be one of two things, and it's coming close to that time where we're going to start seeing, you know, having to make this decision where you're going to have store owners either change how they do business, meaning no longer catering to new comics and just dealing in older comics, or at least comics that aren't new that month, or going out of business. That's it.
Because you and I have personally seen 2 comic shops here in town go out of business over this shit.
Yeah. And there are a lot of them throughout the United States that are experiencing this and having to sit down and have that heart to heart. You know, some don't see any way forward without new comics. Some see a way forward without new comics and just going, you know, if it's a month old, 2 months old, then we can deal with it. You know, going what they call the secondary market. And so I think if this is going to survive, our future mainly seems to be with those that have decided to go secondary. And you know what? I'm fine with it. Given the current quality of comics from the big 2, I see nothing wrong with going secondary. You mean
with that announcement that just came out from Marvel on March 13th?
I'm not pointing any fingers, and I'm not specifically talking about Marvel. I'm just saying, given the up and down quality of everything, it is just, there's way too much tomfoolery right now. And I think a lot of the independent comic book companies need to step up and start dealing with a lot of these shops and just saying,
I'm hoping Image is one of those. You know, because we need to get comics out there that people want to freaking read and pay for. You know, it's ridiculous because Marvel and DC keep putting out comic titles or doing shit with the popular titles that make people not want to buy them.
But because they're completely cut off. You know, living in an age where we can do something like this from our individual homes, it's surprising to me how cut off Marvel and DC have become from the comic shops. If they would just deal directly with the shops and literally talk to the owners, they could actually find out what works and what doesn't. You know?
But no, they know better. They know better.
Yeah.
I know that I know those types of executives that think they know more than the people who actually sell the shit. But I guess we'll move along now to something else. Let's see what we got here today. We've got, I think we'll go with this one right now because I know that you're excited because Harley Quinn was also released digitally today. But I'm excited because our friend Kevin Van Hook's creation, Bloodshot, what leveled off. It was like it was starting to go up, making money in the box office, and this virus killed it. And theaters are shutting down. And I kept saying they need to release this digitally. They need to do it. Already, they released it. The Hunt. They released The Hunt, Emma, and The Invisible Man digitally. While it was in theaters, it's like they need to do the same thing with Bloodshot. And finally, today, they did it. And so you can now go to cinematic streaming sites like Fandango and actually buy the movie, not just pay $20 to see it one time.
Right, buy it.
You actually own it. And I love that they did that. It was very smart. And because it pushes both for the sales, and it'll also be included in the box office.
Yeah.
Which is nice. I don't think a lot of people realize that. I think a lot of people are thinking that whatever they clocked in, like, that's it. Like,
yeah.
Because, like, you know.
Well, because it was worrying me, because I did a report on the box office returns this last weekend.
The Invisible Man was doing really well.
And the thing about The Invisible Man is why I hate it so much.
I didn't watch it.
I didn't either.
I watched Birds of Prey 3 times.
My review for it was not very nice, but it was so shrewdly made. They shot it for $7 million. So it was guaranteed not to lose money.
Yeah. It's like a micro budget film for Hollywood.
Yeah,
like it's borderline. It's independent for Hollywood.
It's like, indie under 20 million. Under 20 million is indie.
With that cost, that's at least one episode of Star Trek Discovery.
And the entire 2 seasons didn't get as many viewers as that freaking movie, The Invisible Man. Now, don't get me wrong. There are parts of the movie, The Invisible Man, I enjoyed. But I despise the fact that they strayed so far from the original source material. You're not doing your Invisible Man. You're supposed to be doing The Invisible Man. Right. And they Hollow Man, which
I was just about to say, I love Hollow Man.
Hollow Man is actually a remake of The Invisible Man, and they just changed the title. But he admitted, that's The Invisible Man. I was doing The Invisible Man. It was a truer telling of the psychological horror of The Invisible Man, in my opinion, than any I've ever seen since the original.
I still love it when they bust open a blood packet, which I love fake blood. But anyways, when they bust open the blood packets and it's like just smear them everywhere so you can see footprints, I was like, so smart. I was like, that is so smart. And I don't know if I would have thought of that. I would like to say I would have, but I really just think I would have cried in the corner.
I would have been walking around with talcum powder at all times, just squeezing the container into the air. Oh, there you are. Gotcha. Oh, I'm doing
I think Kevin Bacon's amazing. He's so good in that movie.
Yeah. I would have walked around with a can of spray and a lighter. You know, it's like, oh, what's this? Oh, I didn't know you were standing there. I didn't.
My little portable flamethrower. I'll burn your ass.
And I would have just been crying in the corner. I would like to pretend I would do something cool, but I would probably just be like, oh gosh, like where is he? Where is he?
Going back to the new Invisible Man, they were very shrewd in how they made that. So they're making Universal money handed over fist, which is awesome. Now, did it make the return that Universal wanted? I don't know. Right. But I do believe that we're going to see a continuation of Blumhouse, which is just a ridiculously woke company. It's like everything about them is woke. And it's like, you don't have to be that woke. You can be a little woke and tell good stories. My problem with The Invisible Man is in the climax of the film, and I don't want to give it away, but a character has to be doing this exact thing at this exact moment for the plan to work. And it's like just,
you can't expect.
Like, I mean, come on, that's Deus Ex Machina definition picture right there of, the director reaching in and telling characters, don't do the logical thing, do what I say.
Right.
And that's
like,
all.
Don't turn on the light.
Oh yeah.
Do not turn on the light.
Typical modern writing. It's like, I'm going to do something, and here's the idea. oh, that sounds clever. Let's do that. Clever is not always logical. You need to really think after you say something, go, did it really make sense? You got to remember there's going to be a big portion, not a tiny portion of your audience that's going to go, that's dumb. And I, of course, belong in that crowd. I look at that and go, that's just dumb. But there was some cool stuff in it. And also, I didn't like the fact that it was technology rather than biological, because that was what H.G. Wells was talking about. He was talking about the body becoming transparent because of something that was done biologically to the body to change it. Sad thing, it also led to madness.
Well,
I'm not talking about the 80s band either.
To Crazy Town.
Our house in the middle of a street.
I love that song. We can just also listen to 80s music.
It's like do a whole episode once, just listening to 80s music. But they were very smart in what they did, and I'm glad that Bloodshot, because Bloodshot's not even that big of a budget. I think it's a $45 million budget. They should easily make their money back because it's a good movie. I really enjoyed it. I've got my review that's going to be coming out and on the Couch Potato Critic, and I'm really, really very pleased with that film. And I'm excited that we're friends with Kevin Hook, the creator of Bloodshot.
I know, right? Kevin Van Hook.
Kevin Van Hook. Did I say Hook? Kevin Van Hook.
The guy that plays Jamie, Sam, he's in Bloodshot from Outlander.
Yes.
I like Outlander. I
have not watched Outlander yet. I've been waiting to binge it.
It's really good.
It's on my list of binging.
He's really good. I'm glad to see him because he's in the Spy That Dumped Me, and then that's like a few of his.
I am one of the few people that like that movie.
I think it's super funny. I
laughed my butt off at that movie. It's a great spy movie spoof. It really is.
Fun.
Well,
it's got so much fun.
It's got Gillian Anderson in it.
Yeah, she's great, and it was a huge surprise. I wasn't expecting to see her.
Yeah, right? I think one of my single happiest days of my life was seeing a nude picture of her.
Of Gillian Anderson.
Mm-hmm. I was like, oh,
in that movie.
Look at that. The curtain smashes the drapes. That's nice.
I totally did not expect her in that movie though. Like when they're like, and she's the boss. I was like, what?
I actually expected her to be the bad guy.
I was too.
The way her character was, and then I was happily surprised that she was. I was like, thank you for not doing that, because it was really pretty obvious out there that she was kind of a douche character.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I was like, if she ends up turning on him, like that's gonna be very disappointing. Like extremely disappointing. So I was super glad when it ended. I was like,
You know that the outtakes for that film must have been hilarious.
I'm surprised we've not seen outtakes for it yet. Is it not on a gag reel with the release of the movie?
I don't own the film.
But it's not that they're not like, it's not like a huge reel.
I own it on Microsoft.
I own the DVD or the Blu-ray, whatever. I love it.
I buy a lot of streaming, but I don't stream because the compression, I don't like it. So I download instead, so I get a cleaner version of the film. And Microsoft lets you do that. I mean, I've heard that Google does, but I own movies on Google, and I stopped buying on Google because I couldn't get them downloaded onto my computer. But Microsoft, when you buy them, you can watch them on the computer that you bought it from, as long as it's got that code in it. And so you can watch right on your desktop, and I like that. But I'm happy Bloodshot's doing this. I'm excited to see what the stats are for it at the end of the week.
Yeah, that's what I've seen a lot of people saying that they bought Birds of Prey today, because I posted about it, and I was like, I know everybody's surprised, but I love this movie. And I saw a lot of people saying, yeah, I bought it. Like, I wish I would have seen it in the theater. And I'm like, well,
here's our last subject of the day. is CBS All Access offering free service for Picard after 3 seasons of bad viewership for their CBS Star Trek franchise.
For a show that was touted and that many fans, no matter how they felt about Discovery, many fans were hoping would be, kind of like, okay, this is going to be good. This has to be. There's no way this could be bad.
Right. I mean, Patrick Stewart's amazing, and I love Patrick Stewart. And
I feel bad for him.
I don't, because he helped make this bed.
I know.
Make this bed.
It's a lot of bad decisions, but on top of that, just flat out, there was no way to stop this from being made. My thing was the episodes are just so poorly written that you end up watching an episode of Picard just like this, because you can't believe the quality of the writing was so bad.
It's like all the money goes into effects. I got into a flame battle. It was funny over just the view screens, because I said they're stupid. I said they make no sense.
The ships are ugly.
The ships are ugly, but the tech that they have in Star Trek of these view screens that are in the air around them, I said, is stupid, because they're sitting there in front of a freaking window with space coming at them, sometimes really freaking bright, and then they're going to try to look at something transparent in front of them with that behind it. Is just the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And I leave it to Hollywood to think of stupid shit like that. Alex Kurtzman, you moron.
It seems like they just thought, well, we could get this cast together, but seen it.
Oh, well, if you're a big Next Generation fan, this is not what you were hoping for. For one thing, it was
everybody that... Go ahead, sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, this is not what you expected. This is mainly just about Jean-Luc Picard, where every single episode, you basically spend, a lot of the characters spend a majority of their time either putting him down, cursing at him, basically
the sheer fucking hubris.
It's a lot of verbal abuse for an elderly man who, in this series,
who was a hero of the Federation.
He's in his 90s, and they treat him like dirt. They treat him like he just...
Every major female character dresses him down in that show, and he just takes it.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's like, this isn't Picard.
Like a war hero.
This is Patrick Stewart's version of Picard, and I don't like it. I don't like his interpretation of the character. There's a reason why actors shouldn't really be involved all the time in the production of shows. Because they want certain things, but they forget this show relies on its fans, and if the fans abandon it, they're fucked. And this show is fucked. Well, and they can offer it free all they fucking want to. I'm telling you that, and they can hide those numbers behind that paywall. But Gary Beekler and Doomcock found ways around that.
Yep.
Of finding out
and Netflix too, is. And Amazon. They have found ways of letting people know exactly what's going on.
And there is almost no viewership for that show. And it's like they're broadcasting for a few 100,000 people.
If even that.
Yeah.
It's just, think of the worst thing that you could ever do with the Star Trek The Next Generation cast, and do that times 10. And
how about that reunion episode with Riker and Deanna?
Oh,
that was so bad. I'm like, did you guys... that felt so much like they had just thrown that together last minute. It did not feel like they had thought that story out at all.
I bet they thought we could do this reunion and we'll hit like a bunch of viewer spikes because people are going to be excited.
Well, that wasn't the original idea.
Doesn't do it all the time, though. You know what I mean?
When people first heard about the show, they had a different idea than what the people putting the show together had. The basic idea was this, or the original idea is they weren't going to have any other cast members from the Next Generation on this at all. That was the original idea to do this. That Patrick Stewart stipulated that he didn't want any of the other Next Generation actors involved. So you were going to try to get away with a 9-episode series with no other member of the Next Generation involved at all. And when you hear the plot, it's like one of those things where, you could help yourself if you just go talk to Geordi. No, we can't have Geordi in it. Okay. Well, Worf would be. Oh, you can't have Worf either. Okay.
The other actors are probably like, thanks. Like, appreciate it.
And the only reason why they started bringing the other actors in is that the early
tests. Yeah, the early tests.
Fans did not like what they were watching.
Like, this is not good.
And this is Star Trek for people who are very emo and don't like Star Trek. This is
not real Star Trek fans.
And apparently, this is another funny one to me. All the senior executives of Starfleet are female,
and they're angry.
Yeah, angry. It's like you never have him dealing with any other males. It's just all female, and I'm like, that's really kind of weird.
And the technology has no logical basis. It's all kind of like a loose version of magic.
Well, and then just the pendulum, it just swings too far. You know what I mean? It's like you can have strong female characters, but it's like you don't have to make everybody a strong female character. It's like because it's not realistic. That's not how it is. You know what I mean?
Here's something I've explained in writing. The only way to really exemplify that you have a strong female is to have her interact with strong males. Yeah. That's the only way. And when you just show strong females all in a gang, the A-team thing that they did with Marvel, it's like, well, I don't understand that. I would much rather see Black Widow in a team with mixed people species than watch her run up with just a bunch of females. It just, yeah. Well, and I thought that was like the dumbest tokenism I'd ever seen.
Yeah, and from like a female's perspective, it felt like, I don't know, when I saw that scene, like I wasn't like, yeah, like I was just like, well, I feel like you're just doing it to make a statement. Like you're not doing it because you think these females are actually strong characters.
Well, it's
just put them together.
It's blatant tokenism. Period. Yeah. They're doing it for marketing purposes. And personally, it created the cringiest moment in the film. And yeah. I laughed out loud in a movie theater when it happened. I went,
and that's why
that's crazy. There are other people that laughed with me. And
that's why I like seeing Black Widow in Winter Soldier. Like,
oh yeah,
I'm looking forward to this new movie too.
Yes, yeah, and I never wanted a movie of just her until I watched Winter Soldier, and I was like, this character is awesome because you see her capabilities, you see her intelligence, like you see her standing next to Cap, and she's not overshadowed.
Yep.
And it's the same thing with Harley in the Suicide Squad. That's why she worked so well, because you see how dynamic the character is and can be in this group setting. And it's like, I don't feel like they've done that with any of their other female characters, with Marvel anyways. Like from the comic standpoint, all of those characters should be able to do standalone things on their own and be successful. But the only one that they've laid groundwork for that to happen is Black Widow. Like to me, she's the only character that is so dynamic that that this movie I think is going to be awesome. Like I wish they didn't do what Marvel tends to do with all their films and make all of these huge explosions and all of these giant CG things.
Yeah, epic spectacle.
Yeah, I wish they would calm that down, because to me, this movie Black Widow shouldn't have a lot of that in it. Like it should be a lot of hand combat.
It should be no bigger than a Bond movie.
Right, yeah. it should be a lot of hand-to-hand combat and her doing her Hurricane Ranas and like flipping people around, and it's like it should be more of that. So that's the only concern I have about it, is that there's 55,000 explosions in like a 2-minute trailer. But other than
it's
that,
like a Fast and Furious movie.
Yes. Yeah. And it's like that's not needed for her character. Like, she doesn't need that stuff. Like, and it doesn't have to be, and again, another reason why I liked Birds of Prey, because it wasn't a world-ending situation. It was just oh crap, I made a dumb decision and I don't have protection now and everybody hates me and everybody wants to kill me. Not Harley Quinn has to save the world. You know what I mean? Like, she's literally just saving herself. Like, she's worried about her own skin. So it's like, I just don't think.
Or that, or it's a Wednesday for Harley Quinn.
Right, pretty much. But it's like, so it's the same thing with Black Widow. Like, I don't think they needed to make it, I don't know, so earth-shattering. At least that's what the reviews feel like. But I am really excited about it. Like, I think it's gonna be amazing. But Scarlett is phenomenal as Black Widow. Like, but it's insane.
Yeah, and I didn't like her. I've said this many times before. I was not a Scarlett Johansson fan. I'd seen her. I liked the film she was in, but I didn't really think much of her until she played Black Widow, and suddenly I saw a different side of her, and I'm like, okay, you have my attention now, because I hated her in the movie. Oh crap! It was that noir film about the black. The flower with the woman.
The Black Dahlia?
The Black Dahlia movie, yeah. Because I liked the film, but I just didn't like her in it. She was weird. And I think the thing I enjoyed her in most before that was the spider movie with the giant spiders attacking in Arizona and at the mall. That one cracked me up. She was really good in that.
But, is it Eight-Legged Freaks?
Yeah, Eight-Legged Freaks. That was it. And it's one of my daughter's favorite movies. What's that?
I said David Arquette.
David Arquette's hilarious in that movie. Yeah. I mean, he's freaking weird in real life, but damn it, I enjoy him on screen.
See, and in Marvel, like, I don't care what anybody says. In my opinion, their best two movies are Winter Soldier and Guardians, because to me they feel the most unlike all of the other Marvel movies. And they took darker characters, because it's like they took you into kind of like a darker side of Captain America. You see,
and oddly, Black Widow, just named the only two Marvel films I bought.
Yeah, they're the best. They're the most enjoyable. They're the most dynamic. Like, and I love what they did. Like, and like I said, when I saw Winter Soldier, I was like, hands down, okay, I want a Black Widow movie. Like, I want her taking down. Like, I was like, I want her finding out that they're making all these Black Widows. Like, I want her to take it down. And then I had to wait 1,000 years. And now they're like, hey, I think we're going to do a Black Widow movie.
Yeah. And
that happens after.
And once they got rid of, what's his name, being in charge. What's his name? Keith, I always forget his name at Marvel.
Well, Kevin Feige or...
No, the other guy that was in charge. That would have been Ike Perlmutter. That's it, Ike Perlmutter. Once he was basically cuckolded, whatever you want to call it, had his balls cut off by Disney and Feige.
Well, just cut out of the decision-making process. So
it's the same difference. What do they call that when they take the balls off a steer? You know, I mean, no, they become a steer, cow. What do they call that?
Is it castration?
Now there's a special name for it with cattle, and I forget what it's called. But anyway, doesn't matter. Basically, Burger King. Or as I said as a kid, Kurger Bing. And well, that's it. We've covered all the topics. This is your first full episode, Brittney. What do you think?
I liked it.
Did you have fun?
Yes, of course. Yeah. I had fun. I got to talk about like Birds of Prey.
All the shit you give it. I don't want to talk about anything else. Nothing. Harley Quinn.
Talk about stuff. Harley was running around.
I guess I should mention with Harley Quinn that the new trailer dropped for season 2 of the animated series, which I love the animated series. As woke as it tries to be, it's too good. It's too good not to watch.
And
it's
raunchy.
too enjoyable. It's raunchy as hell. I mean, oh my God, Jim Gordon is like just a messed up dude. He is so messed up, and I just find it hilarious because it's a parody of the superhero cartoons, but it's done with the superheroes instead of like made up characters. We're actually seeing those characters in a parody, and I love that. Like the Superman episode just cracked me up.
I like the mind control guy.
I've only seen clips, and the clips are.
Oh yeah. The mind control guy is my favorite because he's definitely got a problem with women. And the episode where he calls Wonder Woman the C word. It's just like, and everybody's just like.
They're allowed to kind of do whatever they want too with being on the DC channel or whatever.
Yeah,
because that's really what the DC universe is all about. It's like naughty language. These shows aren't for kids. But that's why I also expect better writing, because I was critical of the last season of Titans. Because
I loved the first season, and I was not there was moments.
Season 2 had some stupid shit in it that was just bad writing.
Yeah, and there's moments that I really, really liked. Like there's moments that I was just like, this. You should be doing this. And then like 5 seconds later, I'm like, oh, never mind. So we're not going to do that. Gotcha.
Yeah.
I don't know what I was.
Doom Patrol, I had the same reaction to with the first season. I loved it. I'm nervous about season 2 with that because they have a tendency of trying to push again with the woke stuff instead of just having a minimal amount of woke stuff in there with good storytelling, and you'll find nobody gives a shit. Guys like me, girls like you will enjoy it and not feel like they're being preached to, because nobody wants to be preached to unless they go to church.
Yeah, season 1 of Titans I loved. I thought it was so great. I enjoyed it so much, like way more than I thought I was going to enjoy it. And then when I bought season 2 and I was like, yes. And then I was like, this is not as good. I don't know what you guys
And it's a sad thing too with Swamp Thing, because Swamp Thing, the series started out really good, but it hit episode 7. And of course, that's when while they were shooting episode 7 is when AT&T bought Warner and cut the last 3 episodes. It's supposed to be 13, and they dropped it to 10. And that forced the showrunner to change everything. And so from 7 to 10 are just not very good.
That's just sad. I haven't got to see it, but everybody that was watching it, like when it first came out, was saying that it just looked great.
Oh, it was fantastic up to episode 7, and then episode 7 it just fell apart. And I blame AT&T on that one for doing that. They should have let them have their 3 extra episodes and finish the season the way it was greenlit, and instead of last minute making them change shit. And that was just stupid.
Well,
I don't think Titans thought they were going to get another season, so I don't think they were prepared, because they made it seem like the whole second season was going to be them going after Raven's dad, and it's like literally first episode, and it's like, oh,
what episode?
That's done. Like, I was like, really? You guys defeated that guy just like that?
I thought you guys stopped doing bottle episodes and were just doing this expanded story arc thing.
Yeah.
It's like,
so, I really don't think they thought they were getting another season.
Yeah. Well, that's the reason why I'm a big fan of all the other DC shows. I mean, because everything you guys have pretty much named is all under Berlanti. And that's pretty much what DC Universe has become. It's become the Berlanti network along with CW stuff.
Yeah, and he has total control over it now, and he's going to maintain control of it because Warner likes him.
Yeah, and it's too bad, because when you invite in other producers and other creators, you get other things like, you get things like Krypton, which I thought was really, really good. And you get things like iZombie, and you get things like iZombie was great. and then you get
I've
other
never seen
things.
it.
It's
I
really
think you
good.
would like
I
it.
really
I'm
like
not a fan of zombie stuff. I think it's
I think it's great.
It's
I
a
love it.
procedural. And then you get things, you get other odd types of shows, like Lucifer is a good example, or
I'm a big
Constantine.
Lucifer fan.
Yeah, well, see, if just think of we've already seen what Lucifer
Yeah,
is
imagine
like.
what happened if Greg Berlanti had control of that.
No, you don't have to imagine. Lucifer they actually did a segment of one of the shows and had Lucifer on it, as done through the Berlanti thing.
Yeah, I saw it.
I
saw it.
Yeah,
I thought it was fine.
I thought it was okay for what it was, but it's like
Yeah, it wasn't anything to jump out of bed and go, "Oh my God, Lucifer, you Arrowverse." I was not like that.
And for me, the best show definitely was Constantine, but under Berlanti, he's neutered. So
Yeah, he's not interesting anymore.
No.
And but I did enjoy that animated movie or whatever the hell that was that they did for CW. I watched it. I liked it. Did you not see it?
I didn't see it.
It's worth it. Look it up and see if you can find a copy because it's worth a watch.
Okay.
It's an animated Constantine story. And but with that, I guess we're done here. We're done. So hey, everybody that watched, thanks for sticking around. After that, get out of here because that's Keith and that's Brittney, and we want you to get off our lawns.
Get out. Here.
Y'all come back now, you hear?